Hi, this is The Greatest Story Ever Played. I'm Dan, and with me are Steph.
Hello.
And Nikki.
Hi.
From Game Til Five, and we are going to be talking about The Vanishing of Ethan Carter together.
Yes. A game which I didn't play yesterday. Yeah, thank you for having us.
Yeah, totally welcome. I finished it up at the deadline too. I was getting close.
Yeah, I just finished it yesterday, well, I'm not gonna lie. But I did start it a few weeks ago. It just took me a long time to finish it.
Yeah, same experience. I started it a while ago and then kept playing it in 20-minute chunks.
Yeah.
Which is probably not the way this game should be played. So I guess as the listener, if you don't like what I'm saying, that's maybe fair if I didn't play it the way that you should. So
Well, I did it in
I guess though
So.
you did it in one, Steph?
Yeah, I just sat and did it in one chunk. So we're going to have a comparison, I guess, will be nice.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. That's good. That's awesome.
Totally did that on purpose.
All right, I guess I'll give us a description of the game and a little background on it, and then we'll jump into our recap. But I guess also, if you haven't listened to our show before, it is spoiler-filled. We take all the details out. So our kind of game plan is we're going to do a recap of the game, talk about some stuff we think about it, and at the end, we're going to do a little interview section with Steph and Nikki, hearing more about Game Til Five. So stick around for that, too. But yeah, I guess we'll jump into the description, which says, The Vanishing of Ethan Carter is a first-person, story-driven mystery game focused on exploration and discovery. You play the game as Paul Prospero, an occult-minded detective who receives a disturbing letter from Ethan Carter. Realizing the boy is in grave danger, Paul arrives at Ethan's home of Red Creek Valley, where things turn out to be even worse than he imagined. Ethan has vanished in the wake of a brutal murder, which Paul quickly discerns might not be the only local murder worth looking into. Inspired by weird fiction and other tales of macabre from the 20th century, The Vanishing of Ethan Carter aims to significantly evolve immersive storytelling in games. While it features a private detective and quite a few mental challenges, The Vanishing of Ethan Carter's focus is on atmosphere, mood, and essential humanity of our characters.
Tree.
I would say that's a pretty good description. I think that is what you're getting into.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely very atmospheric. I felt that from the get-go.
So a little background on the game. Production-wise, it was developed by the Astronauts, and this is their first game, actually. They've got a game called Witchfire that is upcoming that I think is supposed to be more of a first-person shooter type of game, so...
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I wonder if it's like a game that looks like this, but you're shooting people, which that could be kind of cool.
Yeah, that works.
And then lastly, we've got, as mentioned in the description, we've got kind of two main characters. We've got Paul Prospero, who's a supernatural detective, and then Ethan Carter, who's this young boy who wrote to Prospero to say, come investigate my town. And then there's a lot of side characters we meet along the way. A lot of them are members of Ethan's family or people who lived in his town. So, yeah, that's kind of our main peoples.
And they're all lovely people.
And totally normal.
All very normal.
Nothing
I
weird
have to
happened
admit,
at all.
though, Paul Prospero has one of the coolest names ever.
Yeah, and voices. He had a good voice.
Yes, very nice.
He did. He totally fit the supernatural detective. That's exactly what he should sound like.
Yeah, the proper noir feeling.
Very cool.
Okay, well, I guess, with that, we'll start recapping the game and kind of go where Paul Prospero went. The game begins, and Paul's walking on the railroad tracks through this tunnel. He lets us know that Ethan wrote him to come investigate in his town, saying, bad stuff's going on. I knew I had to turn to you because it was, too much for anyone to handle, so that's why you're here. And so Paul Prospero's like, all right, I'm gonna see what this kid's about. It sounds like it's my kind of job. After this, you start walking along the train tracks, and you encounter several traps that are nearby. There's like a hole in the ground with spikes and other stuff like that.
Like a giant swinging thing. That one, like, scared me. It was a real jump scare, that first one.
It did frighten me. At that point, I was like, I didn't know this was a horror game.
Same. I was like, okay, this is scarier than I thought. I thought this would be kind of like a nice detective story. No, it's not.
Yeah. I had kind of the opposite. I think because, Nikki, you'd kind of half warned me that you were like, oh, it's a bit spookies. And so I was kind of expecting it. And I found that I relaxed much quicker into it. At this point, anyway, I will say.
Yeah.
Nice. No, that's awesome. And so after we see the traps, we walk around and we end up finding a story of Ethan's about this guy who ate tree sap. And this is the first of several stories of Ethan's that we find along the way. So what this kind of ends up setting up is there's like I don't know, probably like 4 or 5 stories you end up seeing through the game. And this kind of begins the sequence that you kind of have repeated a couple times through the game, where it's, okay, you find a story, and it's something Ethan's telling you that's maybe about the town or something like that.
Yeah. And I think moral of the story, don't eat tree sap, kids, because it's not going to go well for you.
Right. And this guy, he burned the town down? Is that right? Because he didn't want people to eat his sap or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't sound that pleasant.
No. It seemed kind of like a drug addict behavior.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Just imagine him getting really antsy for tree licking. I don't know.
Yeah, pretty much.
Mm-hmm. So we get that, and then after this, we also find a newspaper clipping that is about a fire that was started by Ethan's grandfather, whose name is Ed, who fell asleep with a lit cigarette. And this, again, introduces us to a key information thing as the game goes. So you find newspaper clippings or little notes or different things like that. So you've kind of got this twofold stories going on, where it's you're investigating and you're seeing things, but then you're also finding information somewhere. And so you kind of get the story told in 2 manners.
Yeah, it's kind of like the bizarre, not real kind of one, and then the almost like real grounding of what actually happened or inspired the Ethan's kind of story. Yeah, he didn't sound that pleasant.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is cool.
Yeah, I thought so. I thought that was a good way to tell it. Paul then from here kind of moves up the railroad track, and he gets to this rail car, and there's blood all over it. He walks further down the tracks. There's blood all over the ground. If you walk a little further, there's severed legs that are there in the tracks. You walk a little further and you find a guy who is a torso.
Yeah. There's definitely the point where I was like, this is a scary game. When there's like limbs hanging about, I'm like, right, what's happening?
That's the clue. Limbs.
You just don't know until, you start seeing limbs on the ground.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And with this, too, then you get kind of your last regular thing you get, which is that Paul Prospero, since he's a supernatural detective, he kind of senses crime scene things, and then what you do is you put the scenes in chronological order. So they'll give you, 5 scenes. So it's like, guy with the tracks, a guy moving a rail car, someone, the half torso hanging out here, whatever. And you have to put them in order, and then when you do, you see the scene play out.
So I have a question for you guys. So when you first found this guy and maybe bits and bobs around, like the rock and things like that of this, did you guys instantly know what to do at this point? Because I left and did a bunch of other stuff, realized what I was supposed to be doing, and then had to trek all the way back.
So, this took me an embarrassingly long time to do and figure out. But the funny thing is, I did that for the first one, which is funny because the traps were the easiest part. But for this one, I had to get a guide at one point because I couldn't do it. I was trying so hard, and ended up I didn't put the tram far enough along, and that's why I wasn't working. But what, Dan?
I was I didn't figure it out either. I'm shitty at puzzles, so
It's a hard puzzle.
so I used the guide quite a bit actually in this game because I'd try to figure it out for a while and then I'm like, all right, I don't fucking get it. Like, what am I missing? And then I'd look at the guide and I'd be like, oh, yeah, step 3, I didn't get that one or whatever.
Yeah, it definitely was not a game that gave you any instruction whatsoever.
Yeah.
I remember finding the rock bit, and there was all that text that floats around you and is kind of like in the air, and it was just kind of like half started to focus, and I was like, okay, maybe I just have to focus on the rocks that I'm currently looking at. And that just wasn't the thing to do at all. And I just went, like, after about, I don't know, 5 minutes of just staring at the word rock and moving it around, the rock on the floor, because I was just convinced that that's where I was supposed to be looking. And I just gave up and walked away. And then it wasn't until, like, way down the line on another one that I accidentally, like, lined everything up. And I was like, oh, this is what the hell I'm supposed to be doing. So I had to go all the way back.
Yeah.
But
See,
yeah,
I
it was
did
hard.
that sort of, but with, instead of the rock, it was the corpse. Because, like, you kind of touch them, but then you get that kind of mist, and you're like, okay, I just kept doing that over and over, and I was like, why am I touching this body over and over again? Like, what is this? What do I have to do? You find out eventually, and it makes more sense later on when you start doing it more, but yeah, at first it was kind of like, what the hell?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, no, I was totally confused there too, and went on and like walked around and did other shit for like a half hour, and I'm like, oh fuck, I gotta go back, and I also find my way back because it's, you know, I strayed far from there, so I'm like, oh shit, where am I? Like,
Yeah, that's exactly what I did.
yeah, that's I liked this the sense puzzle part though. I did like ordering the scenes and then them playing it out for you. I thought that was a cool way to show you the crime.
Yeah, once I worked out what the fuck I was doing, it was great.
Yes, yeah. And I felt like, too, once I learned a thing, it let me try to solve the puzzles more later on. Even if I'd have to go to the guide later, it was like, okay, I have these 2 things in my toolbox. I can kind of do this now. I know, oh, this is a sequence thing, or, oh, there's 5 steps, or there's, lining the word up, or whatever, like that kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely.
So we get, so the scene that we get after sensing them, putting them in order, is we've got Travis tying Ethan to the railroad tracks. He wants to sacrifice him to the Sleeper, which is, I don't know, their version of the Loch Ness Monster or something, except they worship it. There's, something, a monster this town reveres. And for some reason, Ethan is its appropriate sacrifice. So Travis tries to kill Ethan, but then Ed, Ethan's grandpa, shows up and he kills Travis so that Ethan can escape. So the severed leg person, that's Travis.
And Travis is Ethan's brother?
I think?
So I got really confused as to who was who.
I think Travis was his brother, but Ed is the grandpa. And I have to admit that seeing Grandpa smash over like someone's head with rock was disturbing for me. I was just like, whoa, what is happening?
I think that's fair. I'd be worried if you were like, oh, that's normal. That's fine.
Just family conflict.
Yeah. Grandpa did it.
Grandpa's at it again.
Just taking out his grandchildren.
Damn it, Grandpa, this is the 5th time.
I did think it was hard to keep track of all the family members. Like, I was able to get, like, Grandpa, and then, like, later on, Ethan's parents are in it, and I was like, okay, I know who you are, but then it was, like, everyone else just felt like, okay, you're, like, brothers or uncles or something, but, like...
It's never really explicitly said, or if it is, it's said once. And I think I missed it.
Right, it's like I need a family tree to look at.
Yeah, that would have been nice.
Because it seemed like everyone was family, maybe. I don't know if there were many random townspeople.
I'm pretty sure, it was supposed to just be all his family, like Ethan's family. But yeah, working out the older family members was... Nothing weird happened at all.
It's weird that there was just no one else. That's what creeps me out.
Yeah, that would be kind of creepy if there's a town, like a small town that's literally just one family.
I think that's what kind of made it so eerie as well when you're wandering around. Just like, is there anyone here? Is there someone that's going to jump out from a bush? Like, what's happening?
Scared of those bush dwellers.
After this, we continue walking down the tracks, and we find this old house. And this old house has a very hard puzzle, in my opinion.
Yeah, it was a nightmare.
I have to admit, did you miss the astronaut?
Yes.
You both
Yeah,
did the
I-
astronaut?
Oh no, I did the astronaut.
So, before the house, I don't know if you understand, but you go into the forest of really creepy, creaking trees, which is awful, and there's like a spaceship puzzle.
I did remember that. I did do it. And you had to do
Yeah.
the lights and like connect them up, and then you basically chase the astronaut through the forest, right?
Yeah, so I can't really remember the exact like story or what it's trying to say, but you basically press some buttons on a light, and an astronaut appears, and then you chase him. It's really creepy, to be honest. And then you go to a spaceship for a bit. It's something to do with Ethan having like a comic. To be honest, I'm not 100% sure about the space story. You go to space for a bit, you come back, and then you go to the house. I just thought I'd mention it because that area with the trees was terrifying. It's funny that you can do the game without like doing all the puzzles, because I wondered that. I wonder if you could actually miss all of the puzzles and still complete the game. I don't know.
I think you must be able to, because if you couldn't, because you can just walk right past that bit, because like the only bits you have to do right are, I don't know, is there any bits you have to do?
I'm not sure, but I wasn't sure if you guys came across it, so I should I'd ask before we move on to the.
Yeah, I don't think I did, or if I did, I forgot. But up until this part at the old house, I did the first, I don't know, whatever, 20 or 30 minutes of the game. I did that like a month or two ago, like a while ago, and then just totally forgot. I got to the house and got stuck, and then stopped playing for a while, and then came back.
That house. We'll go to that house now because that house was confusing.
Yes, confusing house so it's got these fake interiors that you've got to navigate correctly to make your way ultimately to like this attic in the house that's hidden, essentially. And in a room, so you're in a room and then you've got, I don't know, 2 or 3 rooms you could go to, but then of the rooms you can go to, you can hit a button and it switches what that room looks like, and each of those have 2 or 3 options themselves. And so you have to, I don't know, go through probably like 5 times of doing that.
Yeah, it was quite a lot, and you could only get stuff wrong once, and then if you got it wrong once, it would reset. So it took ages.
Yes, I spent way too long fucking it up before realizing, wait a minute, the internet knows. I'm gonna go look.
Yeah, it's difficult because you can go to the actual house, right? The actual house layout, it's on the hill, and you can look around. You can be like, okay, that room's there. But then by the time you get back to the other house, you're like, I'm not gonna remember this. It's difficult.
Yeah.
It's really difficult to remember everything.
I didn't even realize there was an actual like example house, like, because I knew it was like you had to get the right room, and then when you walked through it, that room stuck, and that was the right kind of answer. But I didn't know there was an actual map or anything existing. That would have been so much easier.
It's like up the hill on the left, and you can go in there, but it's so difficult because.
Yeah.
Right. There's the key to the puzzle in that house, right? The house nearby.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I'd read about it, but I obviously just used the guide to get through this part. But
I just used trial and error for ages.
Well, at first, I didn't even know that you could switch the rooms. I was just walking through each room, being like, "What's that?" Just each every portal, being like, "Hello," and didn't realize that you can actually click switch. And then, this is my brain for you.
No, I did the same thing. I kept trying to walk, and I'm like, what the fuck? I went right. Like, why isn't this working? Like, this is why I stopped. I got so mad that I was like, I hate this game. Like, and then when I had the guide, it was fine, and I was like, oh, this is fine, but I'm just dumb.
I'm so glad you guys experienced the same thing as me, because I was the same. I remember picking up the note from the wizard and just failing loads and just being like, damn it, this stupid wizard. I was just so annoyed. But then once you get it, this makes sense. How did I not notice this before? But I don't know.
Right. I feel like that's what makes it a good puzzle and everything, is once you're on the other side, you're like, oh, this is totally cool. But, oh man, getting there was very angry.
Yeah.
So ultimately, you do navigate this correctly. And you get inside this secret attic that's in there, and Ethan has this story that's about this magician who could see the future, and he'd drink potions that could make him see the future. He did this, and he knew that the villagers would burn his house down. And so what he did is he constructed this potion room that was inflammable. And so when they burn the house down, him inside his potion room will be totally fine, that they're free from that he'll be free from being burned. And, yeah, I guess that's the room you're in now, is what it felt like in going through the passageway. So that was pretty cool. I liked that as an explanation on the end. And
Can we talk about his room and the contents of his room?
Do it.
The magician's room. It was like a head. There was a severed head and a dead baby.
Oh. I don't think I looked
Did you
at...
see that?
No. I just thought, it's a nice, happy
It seems that
room
my
with some
magician
potions.
was... No. How did you not see? It was placed right on the table.
I don't think I looked. I think by the time I got to that point, I was done with that house, and I was like, "Give me the goddamn story," and I'm leaving.
I think I was the same as Steph. So a severed head and a dead baby inside the magician's room. Did it explain like why they were there? Or did you just see it while you were walking around?
Oh no, it was right on his desk, like on his writing desk, which was weird. There was the severed and then the weird baby. The baby thing, it weirdly looked like it didn't really look like a baby. It looked like a thug baby, like a really angry, really angry looking baby.
What the hell is a thug baby?
I don't know, like out of some sort. He looked like he was out of some sort of gangster movie, like I don't know, like Vin Diesel but on a baby.
Fast and the Furious, baby.
Yeah. And that's it. There's nothing else really to say about those two items. I guess he's just a questionable magician.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah, maybe the villagers were doing the right thing trying to burn him down.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
Sounds like it. Let's try to release thug babies onto them.
After we leave this old house, we head to a graveyard. One of our puzzles, what we get, is that Chad, who is another member of Ethan's family, is trapping Ethan inside this mausoleum by bricking up the entrance. But while he's bricking it up, Ethan crawls up and stabs Chad in the eye. I think he thought Ethan was passed out, but Ethan woke up and attacked him.
Brutal, Ethan.
Yeah, that bit was quite intense.
Yeah. And so then Chad blames Dale, who is Ethan's dad, I believe, for not helping. And Missy, who is Ethan's mom / Dale's wife, calls Dale weak. They're just like piling on Dale, like, you didn't sacrifice to the sleeper, you're like a weak male who sucks. And like, they're like really going in on him.
Yeah, she pissed me off.
Yeah, did you see the note from her later on that was like, take all your like failures out of our basement so we don't have to be reminded them of something like that. I was like, man, that is mean.
That was brutal.
Yeah, it's like that's the most brutal thing. You're just like, that's so mean to say to someone.
I have
inventor.
to admit as well, with the mausoleum bit, when I was unsure of what was happening in the game, what kind of game this was, because I skipped past the house for a bit. I went to the mausoleum, and honestly, I stared at the mausoleum for about 5 minutes because I didn't have the guts to go down it because I was really scared because it was just pitch black. I don't know if you guys felt the spookiness as well. It was terrifying. For anyone that's going to play this, don't worry, it's fine. You can go down and it's all alright. But for me, I do not want to walk down into a crypt.
Yeah, it was scary looking from like outside, and even walking in and it's dark, you're like, I don't want to be here.
Yeah, especially because you can kind of half see something like in the back, and you know that at one point you're going to have to turn the lights on in there, and whatever it is that's in there is going to be revealed. Yeah. It's always that tension. Although again, I think because I just was okay, I think the house puzzle, because it was so like, I don't know, there was bits of this game I really wasn't scared by and I felt like I should be, but I was okay with this one again.
I think this was because it was very early on me, and I'd literally just sort of been running around not really know what's happening, and just seeing that I was like, anything is possible right now. No idea what could happen. Yeah, but it got easier in the end.
Once you figured out that there probably wasn't going to be someone who attacks you suddenly, that did make me feel not afraid. But until I got to that point, I was like, all right, am I going to go in this dark place and get killed? Or, like, you know, whatever. So, in seeing this, too, so Missy and Chad are ganging up on Dale, and Chad attacks Dale. But Missy decides to defend her husband, and she stabs Chad to save Dale, and Ethan runs away at this point. So, it's still... Then we head back to the mausoleum, and Ethan tells his dad that he needs to go into the mines, but his dad doesn't have a key to get there, but Ethan says, it's fine, I know my way, I've got a different way. And he tells his dad to not tell his mom what they're doing. He lets them know you're all sick because of the sleeper. And so at this point, it seems that Ethan's dad and Ethan's grandpa are maybe the only ones who aren't under control of the sleeper, or not in the cult of the sleeper, or whatever it is that's going on.
Yeah, they seem to be the ones resisting it a bit. Like, they have, like, moments of having a little bit, like Grandpa with the rock, but at the same time, it's like they're not totally cult.
Yeah.
Taken over.
Yeah, which, it's crazy that whatever the sleeper is doing, it just really has this hold on everyone, it seems, besides them. After this, we head into the mines, and we see Missy and Dale enter the cavern. They're looking for Ethan. Missy tells us that she has to go after Ethan, and that he has to pay the price, that, you know, the sleeper demands this, and, you know, we do what the sleeper demands, kind of thing. Dale, though, tries to talk her out of it. He says that they're all sick, but she, again, dismisses him and doesn't care. And so then we get this sequence where we're, again, doing our chronological order solving skills. And what we see is that there's this lift in the mine, and Missy was going to go up it to go find Ethan up there. But what Dale does is he breaks the lock on the lift and then lowers her down into water and drowns her.
Yeah, it was horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal. I didn't like her, but it was brutal.
Yeah, it was a bit like, oh, thank God, but also gross.
Yeah, I felt similar. It was like, it's good she's dead. And I like that Dale is helping Ethan, but man, that's brutal. Like, just drowning someone in a cage. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not what you want. Did you, sorry, to go kind of back again a little bit, like the spaceman bit, there was also a bit in the middle of the forest between the, like, mines and the house where it was like, yeah, but I didn't really do anything. I just walked around the forest and there were some voices and then you just stumbled across a tent.
I don't think it was a real puzzle. I think you just had to follow some lights and then you just get to the weird thing about a witch. I really don't know exactly what that was about, but it happened.
Yeah. I remember that now that you're saying that. I don't remember what the story was either. It was, like,
I think it was
just that there was a witch somewhere?
Yeah, that's all I can remember is just that it was a witch. Maybe that was about the mum.
I think it was something to do with mother and child. I think there was an underlying thing which probably kind of represents Ethan.
I have to do it.
Right, that's because the witch, there was a woman who, like, wanted to have a kid, and then the kid was born, and she made, like, a deal with the witch that the kid wouldn't, like, get hurt or something like that, but then...
She was really old and ugly?
Yeah, she was beautiful, but became old and ugly, and then the kid went to the witch, and then said, make my mom beautiful again, and then the kid never was, maybe, or something like that.
Yeah, I think that's what I remember. And then, the kid just, like, disappears and she turns into the beautiful woman again. And it was like, what's the point in that story? I don't know. It was a weird one.
Yeah, I don't know what the message is.
But yeah, sorry, I just remembered, I remember that was a bit in between, that I found in between that bit anyway.
No, that's good. Thanks for bringing it up. I forgot about that. I remember it happening, but I totally forgot.
I think that's the thing with this game is stuff just happens and it's, you're just like, is this a thing? Am I supposed to remember this? Is this relevant? Like, what is happening?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that you can just do it out of order by mistake. You know, like
Yeah.
you can just wander around for quite a while and end up. I mean, you have to solve some puzzles to get to the next section, but you
The
do
ghosts
have
have
a
come.
lot of free range to go around quite a bit.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So after the mines, we end up leaving the mines and we get out towards the dam, and we solve another crime where Dale was trying to wait for Travis outside of the mine to kill him, but failed. And so then Travis runs Dale down into this house by the dam and is getting ready to kill him, but then Dale just kills himself with some scissors so that Travis can't attack him.
Oh yeah, that was
Yeah,
gross.
that was brutal.
Yeah, that was one where I didn't see that crime coming. I thought that he got murdered, so that was pretty
Yeah.
Yeah.
pretty crazy.
I liked that how that chronological order one was quite easy though. That one, it was kind of just like, oh yeah, they came out of there and then went over there. This is good.
Yeah, it was straightforward. It was just the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or whatever. That was nice. After this, you turn off the turbine and the water slows down, which allows us to cross this river that the dam is going off of, and we cross on these rocks. I thought this part looked especially cool. Like, this whole game looks cool, but it was really cool walking across the river and just seeing, getting all that scenery in the water and everything. I thought that looked really cool.
Yeah.
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 Very
Pretty
peaceful
game. Mm.
Yeah, it really was. We cross the rocks, and from here, we head to this burned down house. And inside the burned down house, we find a, secret basement, essentially. And we head into the basement, and we find Ethan's grandfather, Ed, there, and he's in the fetal position, burned up. Which is crazy. And we find out that he locked Ethan inside of a room inside the basement to sacrifice to the sleeper, it seems. And then, caught on fire himself and stayed there, It seemed like it was, I have to do this for the sleeper, but I don't want to, so I kill myself too, I think.
Yeah, it was a weird one. Yeah, I couldn't quite work out whether he meant to or yeah, he regretted doing it straight afterwards, because it was a bit about his wife who wasn't around, and he was like, I'm sorry, I have to do it.
I couldn't figure out whether Ed had sort of been... I guess he was kind of taken over, but maybe not fully taken over. It was strange.
Yeah, it was odd. So then from here we get this cut where Ethan tells Paul, you didn't make it to save me, but that's okay. But I can't move on to the next life, I guess, because I haven't finished my story. And Paul Prospero says, no, you've told a good story. You can go on ahead. You did a good job, kind of thing. And then it cuts to the end, and it's Ethan was in the basement here again, and he was writing his stories. His brother comes down and bullies him for a second. So yes, Ethan's family, his brother's mean to him. He comes and he's like, you missed dinner, you suck. Writing stories is dumb, that sort of thing. And then Ethan's like, fine, I'll come to dinner. And then his whole family shows up. It's his uncle's there and his parents and his grandpa. And then while they're talking, something spills? Gas or moonshine or something?
It's the lady, his mom turns really quickly with her gas lantern-y thing, or oil lantern, and I think it smashes, and then
you kind of see that lantern earlier on as well, don't you? So I think maybe that's kind of connected, the smash lamp, potentially.
Yeah. Yeah, so she's got her lantern, right? And so she drops it on the ground, and there's something flammable on the ground. And the house just catches fire super fast. And Ethan is trapped inside the room, and the rest of the family is outside. And you walk around, and you see this sequence of, someone running out to get water to try to put the flame out. You see Ethan, like, on his bed in the room, waiting to be rescued when he won't. You see, like, one of his family members, like, keeled over, like, barfing kind of thing, like, and, game over.
Yeah. It's not
shit
like
got
the
dark
happy-
really, really quickly.
Yeah, and it was like a bit like you've been kind of with all these people who are horrible the whole time, and then you find out, oh, they're fine, but the small child died. Like, what is that?
Right, yeah. It was weird because, like, I guess that I want to hear what you guys think about the ending, but so nothing actually happened, right? Except Ethan dying.
Yeah.
Like, this last part is the only real thing, right?
Yeah, that's what I kind of got from it.
Yeah, so, like, Paul Prospero was, like, almost in his imagination, almost like before he passes away, he's, like, imagining.
I was really appreciative of you telling me that existed before I played the game, because it made when I missed.
And sad. And when I was reading up about it afterwards, I was just like, this is, like, one of the darkest twists in any game I've ever come across. But I did have thoughts where I was like, maybe Paul was actually real and he was coming to kind of see what happened, but I was kind of like, no, that doesn't actually make any sense.
Yeah, I wasn't sure what we were like get it like my progression through this game. At first I was like, oh, this is just a detective game, and then I was like, oh, there's supernatural stuff going on, and and then being here, and then I'm like, oh, this was all a story, and then the real thing that happened was this terrible accident.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I took from it. It was like kind of him telling us stories, and then just getting to the actual event of him hanging out in the basement too much, writing these stories about Paul Prospero.
Yeah,
and
I mean, it was the bit as well, like where he said sort of like you can go, you can leave now, like it's over. I guess that was kind of like his point of like letting go as well, I suppose. As dark as that is.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. I did not expect an ending like this at all.
No. Oh yeah, that was gross. Especially not to go from like really supernatural the whole time and like investigating all these things to really real really quickly.
Yeah. It was very clever as well. They did it. Like one like thing that I quite liked was the presence of like crows, and the fact that there's a password you use to get into the basement, which is Corvus, which is like the Latin word for like crow or raven.
Yeah.
Think how they've done it, and I think to read it again, you probably notice like a lot of things that maybe insinuate kind of that's what's happening. So they did a very clever thing, I think.
No, that's cool. I didn't know that. I didn't know what the Latin word meant. I saw it like when we had to do the puzzle, but I didn't know what it meant.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's awesome.
This is why we have the ecology lady with us. Using that degree.
Yeah, that cool. No, I thought too with the ending, like, I think it made me like the game more afterwards because of that just switch. I was like, oh wow, this is cool. Because like going through it, I was like, cool, I kind of like the supernatural detective thing, but then to flip it on us like that, I thought that was a good move.
Yeah, it'll probably like go down with favorite twists, I think, of all games. I have to admit, I think it sounds weird, but I think I like the ending more so than I liked the main parts of the game, which sounds ridiculous and stupid, but you're never going to know that twist ending until you get there. But for me, I think the puzzles were cool, and there was kind of like, there was parts to it which was quite interesting, but I think it was that ending for me that kind of made the game.
Yeah. I think for me, that kind of was the thing that made sense in a lot of stuff that didn't seem to make a lot of sense. It was a bit like, here are all these like mysteries kind of thing, because constantly you're kind of like solving mysteries, but most of them for like the whole time you don't really know why you're doing stuff, if you know what I mean. It's a bit like half kind of bits of it reminded me a little bit of Edith Finch in that sense, like especially things like the astronaut and stuff, where you're doing something and it's like you're taken out of into like a kind of not like make-believe world when you're based in the real one, that kind of feeling. But that was kind of more confusing in this game than it was in that one, and I'm not sure why.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, it seemed like sometimes when you shift to a different world, it seemed out of nowhere sometimes.
Yeah,
Something like
definitely.
that. Yeah.
I think, yeah, because you hadn't read the story beforehand. It was only after you'd kind of encountered some of this stuff. It was like, oh, this makes sense now because I've just read the story about it. But like before that, you're kind of just like, what is happening? Why is the things here?
Yeah. Totally. And I think I feel the same as Nikki too, in that I like different parts of the game, but the ending definitely sealed it as kind of my favorite part, and probably boost my overall feelings on the game up a bit. So,
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I agree.
yeah. I guess we can move to just kind of, I guess we already kind of are, but moving to some general thoughts just on the game overall. One thing for me is I did like that you had a walk faster button. That's a huge plus. I didn't figure it out until like an hour of playing, so I didn't utilize it the whole time, but it helped out a lot because I think that that's a thing that really fucks walking sim style games, is if you can't walk fast, they can be pretty excruciating, like, because you're choosing to have some limited gameplay things by doing a walking sim style game, and if you make it hard to do everything, that makes it worse. So good job, Ethan Carter, making it so you can walk fast.
Yeah, definitely. And I was really appreciative of you telling me that existed before I played the game, because it made, when I missed start, like,
I couldn't quite work out
mystery,
whether
and then I had to go
he
all
meant
the way
to,
back,
or
so much easier.
yeah, he
'cause I was
regretted
like,
doing
it's fine,
it.
I'll just run.
Oh yeah. I think I didn't figure it out for quite a while either. Like probably maybe about half an hour, 40 minutes in. And I think that's why I was finding the game a lot creepier than I did when I was running. Because normally when I can just run into things, I'm like, oh, it's fine. So like when I was in like Mausoleum, I don't think I figured out how to run then. So sort of slow walking everywhere, looking around like, what is happening? Is it going to jump out at me? And so like slow walking into Mausoleum, I think was like, when I could run, I was like, heck yeah, I'm going to run everywhere. But yeah, I'm glad that that's a thing.
It helped a lot in the mine bit, because we didn't talk about that. Did you guys find that bit of the mine with the weird man with the lantern that chased you around? Okay, good. That bit was terrifying.
Yes, that was horrible. We did forget to talk about that. I forgot to include that. That was terrifying. So you're walking around the mine, and there's like corpses, like it looked like something out of like that movie House of a Thousand Corpses, like that kind of thing, where it's like just fucking torsos like sewn into the ground and shit, and you're just like, this is gross.
They weren't pretty corpses either.
No, they're like very decayed. And then you're walking around, and there's this miner who you see just his light, and you're like, okay, I'm probably not supposed to be near him. But when you see him, he like screams at you, and you get transported back to the front. That was horrifying.
Yeah, and it comes out of nowhere as well. Like you said, the whole game I was fine. I was just running around. And by this point, I'd fully relaxed into the game, and I was like, nah, it's nothing that scary. Like, it'll be fine. And then he appears, and it just heart attack city. Like, it was horrible.
Yeah. So
running.
I'd read somewhere about the mines and be scared of the mines, and there's something that will jump on you in the mines. So I didn't know what it fully was. So when I got there, I was like, okay. I think I knew that I had to avoid it to like get through. And I have to admit, he didn't jump on me once, because every time I heard a stupid little bell or a stupid little rattling, because he would magically appear. He wouldn't just be somewhere. There'd be like this do noise, and then he'd appear. You'd hear his rattling, so I just run away. And I did that for like 20 minutes, probably longer than it should have taken. But I did not want to see him, because I was so terrified of what was going to happen and like the build up to it, that I just successfully avoided him the whole time. So I don't even know what happened when you saw him.
Oh, I wish I had. I only ever did it once, though. After that, I knew to stay well away.
Yeah, no, I got scared maybe twice, like, let him catch me or whatever by fucking up, and I was like, alright, I'm looking up how to do this. I don't want to have this happen anymore. I'm gonna have a heart attack.
Yeah.
I feel for people that went into those mines not knowing what was going to happen, or at least not having like a slight inkling, which would just make you cry.
It was mean, is what it was. Just like, here you go, here's a game. It's like basically a walking simulator with some spooky stuff. It's not that bad. And then that happens, and you're like, what the hell? Where did that come from? Why would you do this to me?
Yeah, that was a good scare. It was good. I don't want to experience it again, but it was frightening.
Yeah.
I'm happy to have never bumped into him. I know that I'm missing out, but I'm like, no, I think I can live. I think I can live without that experience.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
I guess one more general thought I had is I like that we got kind of more of an R-rated walking sim style game, because most of the ones that I've played have had like some darkness, but they're not like What Remains of Edith Finch was definitely a dark game, but it wasn't like this kind of dark. It was kind of different. Or a lot of the other ones, they seem to be a lot more of like, oh, you're exploring a cool scenery and like things like that, which are more, or like a house, or like in Gone Home, or whatever, that kind of stuff. And it feels a little easier. This one, I was surprised you could have sort of a suspenseful, horror-ish kind of game that's a walking sim, but they did it really well. I thought that was cool to like give us a new kind of type within the genre or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And I think they nailed like the atmosphere of it all and the kind of like unease that you feel as you're going through it all. And I think that did work really, really well. And yeah, it was nice to have a walking sim that actually did sort of follow through, because I think I get freaked out by some walking sims just because of the atmosphere and how quiet it can be and not knowing what's going to happen. Like even Edith Finch I got scared in just because I was like, this is an old house, there's no one in it, like what's happening. This one definitely followed through and made you scared, so well done this game.
Yeah, like you said, it's like there's a lot of dark stories overall in some walking games, but this was kind of, like you said, it kind of took that a little bit further.
I want to just ask as well about how you guys feel about the fact that, because this game is like labelled to not hold your hand, how did you feel about the fact that this game really did do that?
Personally, I got really frustrated for a while, I think, when I was like, what am I, especially at the start when I was just discovering things and then had no idea what I was supposed to do with them. And then random stuff would happen, like the house or like the astronaut. And I'd be like, okay, I get these things, but they're not making like any sense. I think because I'd missed like seeing like the murders and stuff play out, like they were the actual bits of the story. And then all these side bits were like the cool random little stories that were happening. And I think it felt really, that made it quite disjointed. But at the same time, I kind of liked the fact that you just kind of had to work out how to do stuff. And when you did figure it out, you're like, oh, this is really cool. I get this now. But it was frustrating at the start, for sure.
I think for me, I guess I like that this kind of game exists, but I also, I think, recognize that I probably am someone who wants my handheld a little more. In my games, I'm kind of like, I'd probably prefer that, just because I don't want to, like, I don't know, rage quit something because I'm pissed. I'd rather like enjoy the story for what it is or whatever. So I think it's cool that it exists that way, but I guess I'm glad that someone made an internet guide and I could use it, because I think if they didn't, then I don't know if I would have finished the game, because I would have got too stuck and mad.
Oh, me neither. I would have been stuck in that house for sure forever.
Yep.
Yeah.
I like the idea of a game that doesn't hold your hand, but I think with one complex puzzles in, you kind of need it a bit, because at first like I was just completely confused, and I think some walking simulators you tend to just have like push and pull, and there's not really like too many kind of things, but obviously they had quite a lot of dynamic with the crime scenes and the writing, and it did almost feel like a lot of the time with the story you're kind of having to pick up puzzle pieces, but also you can miss puzzles, which I find odd. I feel like for me, I kind of don't want to go necessarily to hold my hand all the time, but at least point me in the right directions, give me ideas of kind of like how to do things. Otherwise you are kind of like lost, which is maybe what they were going for. Maybe they wanted you to be like, what the fuck's happening?
Yeah, I think that's the only bit that I really wanted like a little bit of instruction on is the is like the murder scene things, because like I said, I just totally missed the first one, and then I was lucky to do bits of the second to the point where I got to the third and did the whole third one, and then went, oh, okay, I guess this is what I have to do, and had to go like backtrack and just do all of the other ones. And I was like, all of this starts to make sense now, but like if you just taught me these one tiny little bit at the start, then I don't know, maybe it wouldn't have felt so weird.
Yeah, I feel like if maybe that first railcar murder and even like the traps at the beginning, if they just kind of made those pretty easy and were like, okay, when you do this, there's the kind of thing you want to do next, or like if they would have given you a little bit there, or if they let you like fuck up for a while before they tell you, I'm okay with that too. If they want to like, okay, you tried this for a while, you don't get it, here's like a clear hint or something like that. Like
yeah, that's
that
true.
I also know that, like, yeah, it does seem like this game was maybe made for someone who's a little different than me, so I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I feel like I definitely got frustrated a lot, but then I think that what they were going for, I think, is something that maybe other games can kind of build upon and look at and take inspiration from. But like, I think that, yeah, for me, like, I would rather a little bit more direction as well.
Do you guys have any other thoughts on the game overall that you wanted to discuss before moving forward, or?
I think we kind of covered that I just pretty much had the mine was awful, and then it took me a while to work out how to do stuff, but it was very pretty. Like, I didn't really mind getting lost a lot of the time or having to wander back and forth or around places, because it was kind of like just nice to. It was a very pretty game, even though a little unsettling in places.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I would like wandering around in this game now. Now that I've beat it, I wouldn't mind just wandering around and looking at everything, because I felt like it did, like, it looked really good, but it also looked gloomy. It had that, like, good mix of, like, it's kind of dark, a little, like, scary looking, but, like, everything looks awesome. Like, I thought I really liked the water by the dam. I thought that looked cool. Even, like, the blood on the ground, that looked pretty, like, creepy and good. In, like, yeah, that looks like a crime scene. I shouldn't be here. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh, sorry.
Yeah, it does definitely have like a relaxing. Oh, sorry, we've overlapped. I was going to say it has like quite a relaxing vibe. Just don't go in the forest, because those trees just. Oh, I don't know if anyone else has experienced it, but they're really creaky and they make noises, and it's really unsettling. So yeah, the forest is not a place to be to admire the relaxing times.
Hang out in the forest. Yeah, I think it was really good at, like, its lighting as well. Like you said, like, there were points where it looked really gloomy and creepy and stuff, but then there were other bits, like when you're crossing some of the bridges, where it was really nice and sunny, and it was like, oh, this is kind of relaxing. Like, I'm enjoying being here. Like, parts of the town were really nice, and then, like, other parts were, like, a bit darker and a bit gloomier, but it was kind of that nice transition when you knew you were in somewhere that was probably going to be a little bit creepier, and then places where you were just walking around enjoying the scenery.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that was all my points about it. It's hard.
I think overall for me, yeah, it's just, I feel like I really enjoyed the ending. I enjoyed the twist, because I love a good plot twist. But the puzzles were a little bit, like, complex. But overall, like, I feel like I understand what they were going for, but yeah, I'd rather a bit more hand holding, because I don't know, I'm a baby.
yeah. No, cool. Awesome. We have a little bit of listener feedback, so we can, hear what people have to say.
Oh, cool.
So from Luke on Twitter, he wrote in and said, the Mine Gate maze scarred me for life.
I think it did
agreed.
for all of us. Yep.
Yes, we're all scarred with you. Then from some nights on Twitter, they said, the places in there are beautiful, the story was weird and haunting, I loved it.
That's a good description.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely weird and haunting definitely fits. I felt like we saw that quite a lot.
Yeah.
Then from Athos on Twitter, it says, one of the best adventure/story games I've ever played, so...
Wow, they really
That's awesome. Yeah, that's awesome. They really liked it.
Ooh.
I wonder if they were better at puzzles than we were, like if they had a better intuition.
Maybe that's the key.
Yeah, that would be my wonder, because I just that I'm not that great at puzzles, so I wonder if I would have got them quicker, if the story would have felt more boom, 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 and I was tracking a little easier the first go.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, and then last, we've got Shrey on Twitter who said, loved it, I played it 4 or 5 years ago, so I don't remember much, but it was breathtakingly beautiful, the world felt so melancholic and peaceful at the same time.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Like, I think that's what made me feel at ease in most places, like, because it was just quite peaceful. Sometimes a little too peaceful, and then, obviously, it had the opportunity to scare you really badly when it wasn't so peaceful, so I guess that's what they were going for. But yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really liked that span of time when I realized no one would attack me until someone did in the mine. But there was a span of time where I was like, okay, I feel okay wandering. Nothing's just gonna come out here and like assault me. I'll be all right. And that was a nice section because then I felt like I could look at things and not be like scared.
Yeah, you felt like
I went to shit
investigating.
after that.
Yeah, after that happened. And I was really annoyed at myself because I went back to do that bit because I found that entrance and I was like, oh, I don't think I'm supposed to go here yet because I hadn't done the proper puzzle with the lady sinking. And then I went on and I went out and I did the next murder and I was like, oh, I didn't investigate that other place in the mine. I'll go back and see what's down there. And now I really wish that I just hadn't. I just gone, no, it's fine. I don't need to do this bit.
it was a note that got me where it was just like, do not enter, just go back. And I was just like, okay. And then I was like, yeah, should probably go in there. And then, yeah.
Oh, that's really funny. No, awesome. Okay, so I guess that wraps up Ethan Carter for us. So yeah, that was cool getting to play and talk about. So now we're gonna talk about Game Til 5 and hear about your show and stuff like that. So I guess first question I guess is what's Game Til 5 about? If someone hasn't listened to your podcast, let us know what it's about.
So Game Til 5 is a show where every couple weeks, me and Nikki pick a video game related top 5 topic. So like top 5 platformers or moving games was one we did recently. And then we pretty much just discuss my top 5 and Nikki gets 5. And then, we just argue about which one should be number 1, mostly.
So doing the top 5s. Also, you guys were kind enough to have me on about a month ago, and we talked about top 5 games for new gamers.
Yes, that was the one. That was a fun one to do. That was your idea as well. So thank you for giving that idea to us. It was a really interesting one to do.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun in getting those. And yes, if I guess our listeners, if you haven't heard that, definitely listen to that and their other stuff for sure too. So also as kind of a, in your introduction for your podcast, it's Steph, who is a game developer, and Nikki, who does cosplay for video games. So I thought this would be good to hear from each of you how you got into that. So Steph, how did you get into game development? How'd that go about?
How did that go about? So it was kind of like a long thing. It was something I've always wanted to do since I was a kid, just playing video games and stuff. But I guess when I first went to university, there wasn't really anything game related around. So I did like just an art-based degree. And then like a few years later, I kind of was like, I really want to get into video games still. So I took a master's in video game development, where I specialized in UX and UI, which is user interface design and user experience design. And then pretty much from then, after my degree, I just kind of ended up working in it, and it's good fun. But yeah, it's that's pretty much it. It was just I'd like to do this, so I tried to go and do it. That's my story.
No, that's awesome, and just wanting to be able to do something and then you actually get to. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I was very lucky that I managed to find like my studio that I work for now and that kind of thing. So yeah, it's good fun. It's a fun industry.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's really cool. And Nikki, how did you get into cosplaying?
I think so for me, I've always loved like makeup and making and crafting stuff, and when I did sort of more like stuff with art studies, which I don't do anymore, but like in the day, I definitely like focused a lot on like things like prosthetics and makeup and just that kind of jazz. And so kind of when I got a little bit older, I decided that I really kind of wanted to sort of keep doing it as a hobby. And so cosplay was just like the perfect thing, because obviously I love video games. And so for me, obviously some people probably sort of like paint and draw in their spare time, and that's what kind of relaxes. And for me, it's like I just make a ton of shit and put it on myself, and then that's pretty much it. But people and everyone's like super talented, so I've sort of just come into the world and I'm here to stay in it, I guess. But yeah, cosplay is awesome.
That's awesome. That's really cool. That's cool that you make your own stuff too. I imagine that's challenging and has taught you a lot.
Yeah, I've definitely just been like winging it most of the time when I make stuff. I just had to look at something and just go, I'm just gonna try and put this on myself and make it look half decent, and that's pretty much what I've gotten myself today. So yeah, it's a good.
That's great.
Good idea.
That's cool. I guess for both of you, do you have some past episodes of Game Til 5 that you'd recommend people checking out, or like one or two that stand out as your favorites or anything like that?
I've got a couple. Steph, what ones do you think?
I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I guess, obviously the one that we had Dan on was really for fun. And moving games is one I always really like. That was a good one to do. How about you, Nikki?
So I think for me, like, two of my favorites, this is mostly just because they were just my favorite episodes, like, you know, maybe they didn't do that well, but for me, I enjoyed them, which was top 5 PC games in the 90s. That was one of my favorites, just because I could literally go into like a nostalgia trip while I was making my list, and it was just really fun. And I think Final Fantasy characters are a really good one for me, but yeah, the one you definitely good. And
No, that's awesome. Those are cool. That's good stuff. I guess also future-wise, do you have any upcoming episodes that you're excited about that will be coming out soon?
Yeah. Our next episode that is out will be with another Dan, because apparently we only have Dans on our podcast, from Real Ghost Story Pod, and we talk about our top 5 horror games. So in time for Halloween to talk about horror ones,
yes.
which is fun, but also a nightmare for me because I'm such a baby with horror games. But it was good fun. It was a fun episode. So there's
so that'll be coming out soon.
Yeah, with a giveaway in it, which is like our first one we've ever done, which is exciting.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. That's cool. Getting to do a giveaway. Also, horror games. That's good.
Seasonal.
Yeah, very seasonal. That's awesome.
I think I have a love-hate thing with horror games. I hate the way they make me feel sometimes, but I find them really enjoyable.
That's awesome. That's fun. Looking forward to hearing your guys' horror game episode then. That's great.
Yeah.
And then I guess last thing I had that we could talk about are what are some of your favorite games just in general?
Oof. That's a tough one.
I always go Monkey Island on the top of my one, the Monkey Island series. I think all mine are series. It's like Monkey Island, Mass Effect, and I don't know. I'm sure there's another one. Zelda, probably.
It's I have the same with series. Like, it's hard. I feel like I talk about them a lot in top 5. Like, the same ones will like keep coming up. But for me, I think like some of my like top 3 favorites. I'm not like. There's obviously a lot. It's probably like BioShock, like maybe like Mass Effect, Dragon Age. Like BioWare's a good one. And there's loads more.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, those are probably some that stick out in my mind.
That's awesome. That's really cool. I just started playing Mass Effect for the first time, the first game, like a few weeks ago.
Oh,
and
amazing.
It's pretty fun so far. I'm excited to keep going. But I think it's my first BioWare game I've actually played. Like I've been aware of them and like know about them. And I've like listened to people podcast on like Dragon Age or something, but I've actually never played one. So starting Mass Effect has been pretty fun, and it sounds like it just keeps getting better. So I feel like I'm in for a treat.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what.
Yeah, does that mean you'll be doing we're doing like an upcoming episode, do you reckon? On Mass Effect maybe?
Yeah, I'm hoping to do it maybe by the end of the year. I don't know how long it'll take me to beat it, so that's like the.
Well, all of it, yeah, it'll go well.
Yeah, all of it will definitely, but even the first one, because I think I'm maybe like 4 or 5 hours in, and I think it's like a 25 hour game.
They're long.
They're something like.
So. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of hoping I just get a couple like big binges in where it's like, oh, that was Saturday, or something like that. That would probably help. But I feel like I'm gonna really enjoy talking about it on the show later. They seem really great. Yeah, I guess. Thank you again for coming on. This has been super awesome. Where can people find you? Where could they find your podcast or anywhere else you're at?
Nikki, you're always the social person.
I'll do it. So you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere that you kind of get your podcast stuff. And if you want to follow us on Twitter as well, you can at Game Til 5 and Instagram. But yeah, I'm not very good at like plugging like where to find the podcast, because normally I just go on Spotify and type in people. But find us wherever. Google us. That'll work.
Awesome, perfect. And I'll put your guys' links in the episode notes too, so
Oh,
amazing.
Yeah,
Thank
if
you.
you're listening to this, you'll have a direct link too if you need it. So cool. And yeah, I guess for us too, if you want to get in contact with us, you can talk to me on Twitter at StoryEverPod. Our website is TheGreatestStoryEverPlayed.com. You can go there. There's all our old episodes and different stuff like that. So definitely check that out. If you'd like to financially support us, you can go on patreon.com/TheGreatestStoryEverPlayed and make a monthly pledge if you'd like. We'd super appreciate that if you'd want to do that. And yeah, we'll see you next time. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for having me.